Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to The Walk. Today is Monday, July 29th, and today we are starting Ezekiel 5. We have finally made it up to chapter 5, and again, we are doing that deep dive into Ezekiel. I think we are going to probably do the whole book. So in Ezekiel 5, verse 1, it says, "And you, son of man, take a sharp sword. Use it as a barber's razor and pass it over your head and your beard. Then take balances for weighing and divide the hair." Now, when I first read this, I kind of thought to myself, well, maybe they didn't have razor blades back then to be able to shave the hair and the beard and things like that. But when I read it more closely, it says, use it as a barber's razor. That tells me that they did have those kinds of materials back then. But he's being told to use the sword. Why is he being told to do the sword? Well, I had to do a lot of research on this. And in enduringword.com, I found a really good commentary there. And it said that a sword isn't usually used to cut hair. Swords are used in battle. Because this acted out prophecy, it concerned the judgment the army of Nebuchadnezzar would bring upon Jerusalem. A sword was appropriate. Although the word was used for various kinds of cutting instruments, in Ezekiel, it always refers to a military weapon, which, with one possible exception, is the sword. And in the Apologetic Study Bible, it said shaving one's head and beard was a serious matter for a priest or a Nazirite, because one's hair was a sign of consecration of God. So here we've got to put this symbolism together and kind of make it mesh. Ezekiel is a priest. He is being told to cut off his hair, to cut off his beard. He's being told to use a weapon that is normally used in a military operation rather than something that would be more comfortable to use. And that hair that's being cut off is usually a sign of consecration to God. Remember, Ezekiel is acting out these prophecies for the people that are from Jerusalem. So when we put all this together, what it's saying is that Jerusalem is not acting like the consecrated people that belong to God. And because of that, they are being cut off, and they're being cut off in a military way. That's why it's a sword. Verse 2. "A third part you shall burn in the fire in the midst of the city when the days of the siege are completed. And a third part you shall take and strike with the sword all around the city. And a third part you shall scatter the wind, and I will unsheath the sword after them." Okay, so as we break this down, what is this third that he's breaking up? It's the hair. He's divided the hair that he cut off. He's dividing it into three pieces. One piece is one chunk is being burned in the middle of the city. Another is being chopped with the sword. And the third one is being scattered to the wind. What does that represent? Well, according to the ESV's Fire Study Bible, it's shaving of his head and beard, then dividing into three parts, symbolizes the fate of Jerusalem's inhabitants. 1/3 was set on fire, those that would die by plague or famine. 1/3 would die in battle. That's the part that's being chopped up with the sword. And 1/3 would be deported and scattered throughout the Babylonian Empire. So the next thing I wondered is, okay, all that has happened, and then the sword is unsheathed. What is that all about? Well, it's a way of saying you are being challenged and I am ready to fight. Who's unsheathing the sword? It is God himself that is unsheathing that sword. And then verse 3, "And you shall take from these a small number and bind them in the skirts of the robe." Now, according to the Fire Study Bible, the small number represents a remnant preserved by God, though even some of those would be burned and experience God's judgment. So are all of the people in Jerusalem going through all these trials and being burned and struck down with the sword, having the famine and the pestilence and being scattered like the wind, like the hair in the wind? No, there is a remnant, and that remnant is being preserved. I don't know about you, but I want to be a part of that remnant. I want to stay true to God. I want to stay in God's presence and abide in his presence, and let the Holy Spirit lead me and not do things on my own. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.